I am going to welcome up Carla Rizzo, the executive director the CEO of Completely Kids.
So my name is Carla Rizzo, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the CEO of Completely Kids in Omaha. Many of you have no idea what that is, and that's a real tragedy. So I'm just going to take one of my minutes and tell you about us. Our primary purpose is youth development. So we run 16 out-of-school locations, primarily in North and South Omaha. You all know what out-of-school is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. What makes us a little bit different is really understanding the systems that also intertwine and impact kids beyond the success in the school building, which has kind of been a theme today. So we have adult education supports for their parents, caregivers, neighbors, people that need to upskill and learn something new to better support their family. We have a food access program through weekend food services where we serve 1,100 bags of food to kids every single week. We have a job training program for our older kids, our juniors and seniors, so they are learning the skills that they need to be successful once they're done with school. And then a bunch of them stay in workforce. So it's like workforce development for ourselves. It's really great. And then last but not least is a mental and behavioral health program. So we're going to talk a lot about mental and behavioral health, but I think the reason that I was asked to speak on behalf of a budget for children and families today was because we wrap so many things together at Completely Kids, knowing that they all have a really big impact. So that's kind of the beginning of my spiel. I will also say, I think John and I should do it together next time because so much of what he said about working families and the working class applies to families in general. He talked about families that are making $100,000 a year, and I'm going to tell you that 91% of the families I work with don't even make 75. So think of everything that he said, and then drop that down, a couple of paychecks for people. So why does it matter? Why does child poverty matter? Well, it undermines everything. It feeds into every single system, and it hurts our community health overall. So because I am who I am, I have a PowerPoint. I know I am. And I'll take you down rabbit holes all over the place if I don't keep myself, somewhat pointed in a direction. So we're going to go through a little snapshot of some of the data on kids in Nebraska. I'm going to refer you a little bit to the most incredible thing in my possession is a Kids Count book. If you're not familiar, Voices for Children does this every year. It's also online, and it is solid gold. So thank you to all the people that put that together, and some other things too. I also have handouts. I brought 40 of them because I didn't understand what I was getting into today. So for those of you that really want copies of some of this data, I will have these for people that want them. So, all right, kids. 11.6% of them are living in poverty. That's 55,000 children. I'm going to make it worse for you and tell you that 24,000 of those are in extreme poverty. That means 50% of the federal poverty level. I'm going to show you what the federal poverty level is in just a minute. I'm also not going to keep us in doomsday, just so you know. Like, I can't live in all of the bad. So we'll talk about it, and then we're going to talk about the decisions and choices we can make as a community to make things better. So just breathe. I got you. The other thing, and we've talked a lot about it today, is food insecurity. 1 in 5 kids in our community are food insecure. That means you don't know where your next meal is coming from. We serve 1,100 bags of food every week to help with that problem. There was an article, I don't know, maybe 10 days ago, that in Gretna, they have started a weekend food program. You don't think about poverty in Gretna, but it's there. It's there in all of our communities. And that 1 in 5 is not just an Omaha problem. It's not a Gretna problem. It's a statewide problem. So 16,000 kids need childcare, but there's not a spot for them across our state. Where do you think that problem is the worst? Is it rural? Rural. There are actually 10 counties that don't have any licensed childcare facilities. Maybe somebody's aunt's watching kids, but the quality, that early childhood access just isn't there for those kids. Only 25% of our 3 and 4-year-olds get state-funded pre-K. 25%. Now, there's private pay. I have twin 5-year-olds. Let me tell you about private pay. And it's wonderful, but not everybody has access to that, right? So when we start talking about the importance of kids reading on grade level, and we have all these great goals about kids reading at the 3rd grade level by 3rd grade, because that's when you start reading to learn, not learning to read. What about the kids, 75% of them that didn't get any early childhood? What about the kids that their first day of school is the first time somebody is maybe noticing that there's a different behavioral need there, or they could use some speech support, and it's going to take months to get that in place? Now we've lost kindergarten, but we think they're going to catch up in first and second grade and all of a sudden be at grade level and beyond. It's a tall order. 10% of Nebraska parents with small kids either did not take a job or quit a job or had to change jobs because of childcare. Think of the economic impact of that. We've talked a lot about our population today, about how we don't have the workers that we need, how immigrants are filling some of those. We've got a lot of retirees that are going out there. If we have working parents that can't work our jobs because they don't have childcare, that is really adding to our problem. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you about there? Oh, big one. Almost half of our kids who needed counseling didn't get it. And of the about half that did get it, there's often a 4 to 6 week wait to access that care. Now, at Completely Kids, we have our mental and behavioral health services. Let's say pre-COVID, a whole different world. Remember that world? In 2019, we served about 200 kids in our mental health services, and it was great. Want to guess where we're at now? 1,300. 1,300 kids a year being served in individual, in group, in preventative services, a lot of partnerships. I will tell you, on average, right now, I'm getting 2 calls a day that a child between the age of 7 and 12 has an actionable suicide or homicide plan. 2 calls a day. It is a serious crisis in our community, and we are not investing enough resources in it. So, you can read it up there, just not there. So this is the federal poverty level, right? And it shows you by different numbers of people in your family what 100% of poverty is, and then what you're eligible for there, okay? And that is going to come into play here in a minute when I talk about some policy things. I do really feel like a downer right now, but now I'm gotcha, okay? So what are we going to talk about? Guiding principles that would get us to a kid family-friendly budget. First one is equity, and I know a lot of people don't like that word anymore, but it's a great word. Look it up. It means that people get what they need to be successful. So whether you are living in Ogallala or Omaha, kids should have access to the same incredible opportunities. Healthcare, education, nutrition, all of those things, right? Like, you should get what you need. Prevention. What do we know about prevention? It's much cheaper to catch things on the front end than it is to try to fix them later. So whether that is, again, good health care, nutrition, education, you're going to invest in it up front, but it's going to save you a lot of money in the end. The whole child. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Every single thing we've talked about today has to do with kids, right? I mean, whether we're talking about small businesses or working families or immigrants, guess who's in those? Kids. So it all matters, right? And we got to talk about them. And let's be data driven. So as you can tell with my little PowerPoints, I love spreadsheets. I love to look at the data. What is the impact? Who can we talk to that has done some research on this? And we live in Nebraska, folks. We have some of the best researchers in the country. We've got Buffett Early Childhood that's putting stuff out constantly that tells us what the impact is of some of the things that we're going to talk about. So let's use those resources. So for those of you that choose to have my little paper, I've got my little notations down here where all the data comes from, and it's pretty excited about it. So what are we going to do? We are going to end child poverty and hunger, and how are we going to do it? The Summer Meals Program. So here's the deal with Summer Meals Program. You've all heard about it. You get the signs everywhere that says if you're under the age of 18, come to the school and eat in the summer. It's amazing. It's actually a federally funded program, and it's great. And it wasn't cut. So that's good. And a whole lot of those are operated by nonprofit partners like a Completely Kids that's operating a summer program there that's largely funded by 21st Century Community Learning Center funds. Those funds have been zeroed out in the 2026 budget. Those programs go away. Who operates summer meals programs? How are those kids going to eat in the summer? What's that look like? Have we thought about the ripple effects? And are we advocating for those? Are we having those conversations of, what's next? Every decision has ripple effects down the line, right? Community eligibility for free and reduced lunch. We talked about that earlier, right? Like, kids want to eat. That's expensive. My kid's school's $4.25 a meal. They all wanted hot lunch today. That was $12.75 for lunch. Doesn't sound like much when we're paying 20, when we go out to wherever we go. But every day for kids, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And eligibility is not that high for free and reduced lunch right now. SNAP benefits, we know all about those and cuts coming there. And so what does that pressure put on the rest of the community with federal cuts to the SNAP program? What pressure is that going to put on our food banks, on our churches, on what people need through some of these other resources, and how are we preparing to deal with that? So thinking about that in our budget. Universal pre-K. I only had access for 4-year-olds, but I'll go 0 to 4. That sounds amazing. That's critical. Like we talked about, that school readiness is a really big deal, and how that's going to pay off for us in workforce and generations and overall health of our community moving forward. Childcare access, like I talked about, 10 counties don't have it at all. How are we going to help get people prepared for that? Are there some subsidies we could put in there, some incentives? What about the sunset? Anybody know about the childcare sunset? Show of hands I'm talking about? Yeah. So during COVID, we raised eligibility from 130% of poverty to 185%. That sunsets next September. We do not renew that. It goes back down to 130. Anyone want to know where that places us, like 1 to 50 statewide on access to childcare? 50. How embarrassing. Also, do you know almost 80% of kids in Nebraska have all eligible parents working? How does that square? You're all working, all the parents are working, and you have to work to get childcare subsidy. It's part of the rules, or be in school. And yet we're not going to provide that. So again, do you just leave the workforce? Is that the plan so that you can make that decision for your family? Got to figure that out, folks. That is a big one that we've got to put pressure on this legislative session to make sure that we make sure parents can work, kids get adequate quality care that they deserve. Health and nutrition. School-based services are critical. They're critical. We talked about going to where people are at. Yes. So I have 5-year-old twins. I told you that. One of them's on the autism spectrum. So that means every week I get to navigate a speech appointment, an OT appointment, his ABA therapy. Oh, by the way, maintain a job, deal with my other kids. Trying to navigate all of those systems and times is really hard. And I'm the boss, so I make my schedule. It's not a great schedule sometimes, but I can choose that, okay, on Mondays, I leave at 2 so I can do these things for my kid, and I'll work late on Tuesdays. Can hourly employees do that? Can 90% probably 95% of the families I work with adjust their schedule to take care of their kid that way? Absolutely not. So the more we can embed in the schools, in the places kids are at in a high quality way, the barriers we remove, that's transportation, it's time off. It's not having to call and schedule an appointment. Oh my goodness, scheduling one more appointment. So I think that's a really big deal. We have some of that can expand. We know about Medicaid. Oh no, she's pulling me. One more, mental health services. So as difficult as it is to get access to mental health services in Omaha, it's even harder in rural communities. So again, incentives, investing, more students, student loan forgiveness, all of those things is a really big deal. And the payoff, for every dollar we invest, 7 to 10 comes back to us in the long run. It is much more cost effective to invest in our kids today than to pay for our, I'll just say, negligence tomorrow.